Okay, it is 6:59 and it'll be 7 o'clock in just a moment. We are ecstatic because we have Kara Imani here. Hi, Kara Imani.
Hi.
Okay, before we jump in, I am going to share a little bit about the body confidence movement, what we do, and all that good stuff. Okay. While I'm doing that, you can think of what you're going to say to introduce yourself.
Great.
So she just told me she was not going to introduce herself.
I told you what I'm going to say, so it's fine.
Okay, it's fine. Well, I'm going to go over here right now and I'm going to share the screen. Okay. So let's do this. Okay, I have to get my bearings here. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to jump over here and I'm going to say view present. Okay, Kara, can you see the first slide?
Yep.
Okay, fabulous. Welcome to the Body Confidence Movement. It's Alicia D, and we are so glad to have you here. The Body Confidence Movement started in 2017, so we've been around for a hot minute. What is that, 4 years, 17? Yeah, 4 years. So thanks for being here. So let's talk a little bit about what we believe. Some people think we're just about like one thing, right? Like about confidence in the physical. But we actually have 5 tenets that we have put forward over the last 4 years. And the first tenet is we believe that you can take up space. What does that mean? That means as women, as girls, we were always taught to shrink for the most part. Okay. And we want women and girls to take up all the space that they need and to use their voice. The next tenet is to believe that you can be loved for who you are right now. Yes, right now. You shouldn't have to do anything, jump through any hoops to receive love. Okay. The next one is we believe that your body can be free from scrutiny. Okay. This is free from bullying and those sorts of things online. So we create a safe community here in the Body Confidence Movement for women to share and for us to get encouragement. The last 2 tenets are your belief that your body deserves to be free from abuses and violence. That is self-explanatory. And also that it can function as it was intended, free from disease. That means we are going to take this format, take this group, pour really good information in there, and allow women to make the decisions that they need to make for themselves. And hopefully they are better decisions because they are better informed. Okay. Now we have Kara Imani. Kara, I gave you a title, Social Justice and Self-Care Advocate. Okay. So we are here today. It's September the 30th, and we are so glad to have you. We're going to come back to you in just a moment. Okay. I wanted to mention two of our ladies that you guys helped me to support by hiring them for projects that I have. We have Miss Shay on the left in the puffy jacket, and then we also have Rebecca. And these 2 young ladies are extremely intelligent. And when you have joined Patreon and you become a patron member, you help me help them. Okay, so we are glad to have them. So let's talk about some of our past guests. We had Rahima and Hawa, and these were 2 of our mountain guides when I was in Kilimanjaro, when I climbed the mountain, and they have such amazing stories. You can find these past shows on my YouTube channel. Okay. And we also had Bridget Spurgeon. Bridget is a clinical director. She's a healthcare specialist. She promotes weight loss. So if you're interested in losing weight, she has a fabulous program that can get you on the right path and get solid results. Okay, and then lastly, we want you to join our Patreon, and we will talk more about that. I will put that in the chat. Okay, so let's stop sharing. Let me go back over here. Okay, now we're ready, Kara. So, Kara, tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself.
I am.
Or do you really want me to introduce you?
What do you mean? You already gave me like this title, so that's it, right? Like, other than that, I exist for a living.
Okay.
I am a amateur Ohioan. Recently moved here to essentially live in a cornfield. But I work at Ohio Christian University, and I work as a GA, so I'm the intercultural programs coordinator here.
Okay, and for the people who don't know, what is a GA?
Graduate assistant, so I'm also getting my master's.
Okay, you're getting your master's in what?
Leadership.
In leadership. Now, you said one thing, it just slipped my mind that fast. So what was your undergraduate in?
I studied mass media communication and political science.
Okay. So if I were to introduce you, I would say that you are amazing. You're very intelligent, you're well-rounded, and from the beginning, I think you have had this slant towards self-care, right? Or how did that come about? How did your self-care journey, how did you evolve? How did you even get there?
My life fell apart.
How your life fall apart? You ain't but 22.
Our lives fell apart at the same time.
Yes, they did, honey. You are so right. And wait, before you go any further, I do not want to discount, your journey and what that looks like. And I think a lot of times as older women, we discount younger women for what they've gone through and, say, oh, it was nothing or it couldn't have been that bad. So let me just, take a step back and say, I acknowledge. Say what?
Yes, thank you for acknowledging it. But I think also a lot more was going on in my life than I shared as well. So that's another part to it.
Okay. So tell us about your life falling apart and how you got to, move through these spaces.
So as you know, our home life was a wreck.
Because listen, some people may not know you're my daughter.
Yeah. So I'm your daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our home life was a wreck.
Yeah, it was. I think that was kind of like the climax, like the most dysfunctional it had ever been, like overtly. So like a lot was happening behind closed doors, but like this was the first time everything was like out of the closet, and it was weird, and it was just not a good time.
Right.
So there was that, and then I had just gotten out of a relationship that I should not have been in the first place. But still, it was hard to walk away from it. But that's one of the great things about like praying, like, hey, God, if this isn't what you want for me. And then, he's like, yeah, that's not what I want for you. And then I was like, well, it's what I want for myself. So I'm going to stay in it. And then, you get cheated on and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go now. So that was a great time for my self-esteem. And then, because of like home issues, like finances were an issue. And so my FAFSA, that was a hot mess. And that would have been my freshman year of like college. and I couldn't take any classes because financial aid wasn't doing what it needed to do. And then I had a friend of mine pass away. And it was a lot of things, and it all happened within a month. And I couldn't cope.
Really?
No.
What does that look like for you, Kara? Not coping. What does that look like?
It means I just shut down, like just totally shut down. Like naturally, I'm a pretty content person. Not a lot goes through my mind. Like if it looks like I'm like staring off into space, it's not because I'm in deep thought. I literally just don't think. And I thought there was something wrong with me for a really long time. And then I realized that no, I'm just naturally peaceful. And a lot of people's minds just run rampant and mine doesn't. And so, but there's a difference between me just being content and me like being so overwhelmed that I shut down mentally and I can't think even if I want to.
Okay.
So that's what that looked like.
So, excuse me. So what does that look like for people around you when you shut down? How does your behavior change? How does that impact others?
I think if you see me in passing, you probably wouldn't know a difference. However, if you attempt to interact with me, you will quickly notice that I cannot really hold a conversation with you. Either I will get irritated really quickly and just kind of brush it off, or I'm just going to look at you and then I'm going to break down in tears. And then whatever happens after that happens. Which, okay, by the way, happened today at work. So, cried for the first time in the office. Great time.
So, let's talk about self-care for a minute. Because you had an experience recently. I know we're talking about a few years ago, but let's talk about this you using your voice and speaking up for yourself recently when it comes to your major, okay? And I really want you to be transparent about how you literally, in my opinion, fell apart.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's one of the things I'm learning about myself. When I'm in community, I don't fall apart like that often. It's only when I'm by myself that everything just like gets heavier and heavier on me. And because if you had seen me at any other point in that day, I was fine. And it wasn't until I like got home and it was dark and I was sitting by myself and I was like, oh God, I can't do this. And then it just, but anyway, the story is I applied for this GA position, got it. They then told me that I needed to get my MBA to meet certain requirements, yada, yada, yada. Needless to say, like, I didn't get to choose what I wanted to do here.
Okay. So you got hired at this university and they told you what your major was going to be.
Yeah.
Not cool, right?
Yeah. And then I talked to other people because I was feeling really like, I don't know if I can do this, like, this isn't what I signed up for. And everyone's like, oh yeah, like that's the most marketable master's you can get. You're going to be fine. I got my master's. It was fine. Like everyone was just like, it's fine. And then I get to the first day of my classes. It's a hybrid class. So some of it is in person. Most of it's online though. And I'm sitting there and he's going through the syllabus and he starts talking about like the rest of like the degree program because my first professor was the dean of the business school. So he knew everything there was to know. He went through it and I was sitting there and I was just nodding my head and I was thinking, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I know this is true. I'm going to die. And so when I got home, I broke. I was like, there's no way I can be new to the state, no one here, at the time feeling incredibly isolated, so no support, new job that I'm figuring out because there's no official training for it, and you're throwing me into a degree program that I have no desire to be in, a master's degree that I do not plan to use. and that
Right.
I'm not good at. Like
Right.
it was too much. I couldn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us how hard it was for you to use your voice. Or was it hard for you to speak up for yourself? Did you feel, because you said you were like surrounded with men, you were like, and you really didn't have anything in common, and you felt like they just put you in there. And what I was trying to tell you is that you have choices. You have options, is what I wanted you to understand. Because for me as a mom, it felt like you thought you didn't have any options.
It wasn't.
And I wanted. Go ahead.
I've always been like a person who like lives in extremes as a way of like coping. Like in any situation, as simple as like getting into the car, I think of the worst case scenario, make peace with it, and I'm fine.
Right.
So I get into a car. There's a possibility that I could get in a crash, die, or be paralyzed. Am I gonna be okay with it? Okay. And then I get in the car. That is how my mind thinks. And that's how I think about everything. I always think of the worst case scenario. I don't know why that is, but it brings me peace. I don't know. It's just what I've always done. And so when this situation happened and you were telling me like, Kara, you have options. I was freaking out because I had not made peace with the idea of potentially job and moving back home after telling everyone that I moved to Ohio.
Okay. So now I
could not
say that again.
I was saying like I couldn't wrap my head around doing that. Because in my mind, that was worst case scenario.
Okay. So just for clarification, you were it was a little choppy. Can you restate what you said? Right? Because one of the things I want people to kind of understand when we're talking and we're doing these lives is like the strategies that we have to come up with, right, to move through these problems that we have as women. Okay. So just for clarification, kind of say what your strategy was, the worst case scenario, not come into grips with it, and that's why you couldn't get to the options.
I think for most people, anxiety cripples them, right? When they think of what could, like the worst thing that could happen, the thought of that will keep them from even doing the most minute task.
Okay.
And so for me, my tactic has always been visualize the worst case scenario, make peace with said scenario, and just start making decisions.
Okay.
Because worst case scenario, the risk is typically pretty low, right? Like the chances of the worst possible thing happening aren't typically that high.
Right.
So just like making peace with that and then being like, okay, time to type this email, which is what I did. I emailed my boss. It was like almost a page and a half Word document.
Single spaced. Yeah. It was a lot.
Yeah. And he's so great. He's so great. I don't know if it's because he has a daughter that like she's really young and like he absolutely adores her. And so I don't know if he just like has like this father nurturing something about him.
Right.
But the next day he was like, "Are you okay?"
Oh, okay.
Like, "Are you okay? How can I help you?" And I'm like, "You got me out of that master's program. I'm fine."
Okay. So was it scary speaking up for yourself? Was it scary?
No. Once I made up my mind, no.
But getting to that point, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
I was
What
panicking.
did that feel like? You were panicking? What else?
I was embarrassed.
Okay.
There was a lot of insecurity with the decision because what am I going home to?
Mm-hmm.
I had been on LinkedIn and everything else, Indeed, whatever, before applying for this job. I know what that's like. That was like a process I didn't even tell anyone about because it was so unfruitful. Like,
Really?
I didn't even tell anyone I was applying for jobs because nobody was emailing back. The people that would email back, it's like, oh yeah, like come on and we're gonna pay you $2. Like, no.
Okay.
It just was not, no.
Okay. So you were able to take up space to speak up for yourself. And you said once you made the decision, it was easy. You could write the words came, you could write the letter, you could ask for exactly what you wanted. And I want to make it clear that we have to teach our girls and our young women to speak up for themselves.
And I think,
go ahead.
Sorry. I think we need to also teach women and girls that there's more than one way of speaking up for yourself. Had I had that conversation face to face with my boss, I would have cried the entire time and it would have been nothing would have happened. I would not have been able to communicate. It was way too heavy for me to even verbalize it without crying.
Okay.
And so because I was so overwhelmed, I did what for me was the easiest thing, which is I'm going to write it because I can write it a lot better than I can say it.
Right.
And that was my way of speaking up for myself, which isn't a route most people take, but it's what I've been using since I was like 8 years old. I've always just written out the hard stuff.
Yeah. And I want to say that when you write, it is so clear and precise. There is no room for nothing's fuzzy about when you I'm thinking about that letter you wrote this year. There's nothing, there's no question mark anywhere. When you put pen to paper, you saying exactly what you want. So I think that was a good point that women and girls can use different ways to communicate what they want and to speak up for themselves. So can you think of some other ways or some other strategies women and girls can use to speak up for themselves?
I think maybe it was only on this one occasion, but it was super comforting to me. I had to go and tell someone something. I don't know what it was. I had to confront someone about something. And I was confiding in a friend and I was just like, I don't know if I could do this. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of confrontation. And they were like, I'll go with you.
Okay.
Like, I think that I didn't end up utilizing them, but that comforted me so much. And I think just having support goes a really long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know how many other methods there could possibly be. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I think supporting them as much as you can in that process.
You're stuck.
Oh, can you hear me?
Are you there, Kara? Okay, are we there?
Can you hear me?
I want to talk about you carrying your poop.
Yes, a great time.
Because I'm going to have to carry my poop next week. So let's switch gears just quickly and let's talk about, somebody's printing something right here. I'm going to cancel it. Okay, so let's talk about your experience. I don't know what farce you were in, but can you tell the people what happened when you were in high school? And do you like being outdoors?
I love it.
Okay, but you didn't like carrying your poop up the mountain and back, right?
It wasn't poop. It was blood.
Oh, mercy. Okay.
It was blood and my potential children.
Okay, Kara, tell them where you went, and why you carried that stuff with you.
The simplified version is I went on an outward bound trip that was sponsored by a bunch of really wealthy people somewhere in Charlotte. And it was like a diversity trip. So they had a bunch of students from different backgrounds come together. We went on this 7-day backpacking trip together. And they had this form, right? They had this form that you could have filled out that said like, oh, I have these physical disabilities or what have you. And naturally, no one is honest on those sheets, right? Like, because you don't want to say something that would like revoke your ability to go on this all expense paid for trip, right? You go.
Right.
And so at the time I had knee issues. I got winded very quickly because I was just out of shape. And I think those were the only issues I had, right? But I had I've never really been physically active. Hiking is not something I did, like whatever, but I did not know to write those things down.
Okay.
I get on this trip. I'm crying myself to sleep every single night because it is so strenuous and it just broke me mentally. And I sit down and I look at one of my guides one day and I'm like, this is really hard. A group of us did. We're like, this is really hard. And they're like, well, if you wanted an easier course, why didn't you write it down on the sheet? And they're like, they went through a lot to prepare for us, to come.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, we could have made this a lot easier on you guys. Mind you, we're like 4 days in. So there's really no going back now.
Right. You're like deep in the woods.
Yeah. Deep. There's no trails. Like there's
no trails.
No. It's leave no trace, meaning listen. In certain areas, there are trails. Mostly there are not. So everyone, when you're hiking together, you're hiking in this long line, everyone moving forward.
Right.
Think of like a football team lined up. They're spaced out so that you don't create a trail from everyone following behind each other. It's literally don't change the terrain. What? Yeah. So we're walking together, but not really together.
Right.
Like our food, you had to eat everything. No such thing like left, right? Like you ate everything. You stored everything up in a tree, so bears wouldn't get it. You peed, you pooped, anything.
You buried it, right? You buried your.
Yes.
Didn't you bury your poop?
Yes, you take
so
a shovel, you dig a hole. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You do not have toilet paper. You use a bandana to wipe yourself. You then tie it onto the outside of your bag. You keep moving. pee is sterile, so the bacteria was killed in the sunlight. But it's leave no trace, so like you can't use toilet paper. That's not a thing.
Wait. I think they told me I can bring toilet paper.
We could not. It was fully leave no trace.
Okay.
Now
so you
can use biodegradable toilet paper when you poop because you've dug a hole. It's deep down. It'll disintegrate, whatever. When you pee, you're not digging a hole to pee. You're peeing on the ground. So you can't throw toilet paper on the ground.
Okay.
Hence, using the bandana.
Okay.
But I, lucky me, got my period halfway through. Thank God. One of the other girls had wipes. And so I wiped and then I put it in a little baggie and I kept it moving. And so I carried around my bag of blood everywhere until I could get home and dispose of it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was rough. Like there weren't tents. We slept under tarps that we strung up. You wake up every morning wet on top of the fact that you can't shower or do any, like no deodorant, no lotion, no, like there's nothing that has.
Why can't you have deodorant and lotion?
Because it has a scent to it. It attracts. There was nothing.
I remember y'all were gonna come home really, really stinky, but I forgot about the part where you couldn't wear deodorant. So guys, I am going on an educator's hike next week, and it's this. I guess it's the educators who go with you guys on the hike or something like that. But it's the same hike that Kara is talking about right now, and I didn't read the fine print because I don't remember them saying no toilet paper.
They don't tell you. They don't tell you. They say leave no trace, and they mention like 2 or 3 little examples. And then you go and you realize there's a whole list of things you can't do. And it's like they literally checked all of our bags.
Really?
And they started taking stuff out. Yeah.
Because, honey, I'm trying to figure out how I can bring a little camera.
Because you gave me wipes.
Yeah,
wipes that I could not bring. So I was like, thank God one girl kept her wipes.
How did she get to keep hers?
When it came to the wipes, they did it based off of
maybe they knew you had. Maybe they knew you had your period. Maybe I cannot see.
It was the weight. They were like, don't carry any extra weight. So we had one girl with wipes, and it was like the universal wipe, whatever, and everyone just shared those wipes. Thankfully, because we had already kind of made peace with the fact that we were going to stink. No one tried to like bathe with the wipes daily or anything like that.
So y'all didn't get like, when we were on Kilimanjaro, we got a bowl of water, hot water every morning to wipe up with.
No.
I think this is going to be harder than Kilimanjaro, because Kilimanjaro, we had porters. Right? We had porters that would help us.
Mom, when I tell you it broke me, there aren't porters. You carry everything.
Back, hopefully. So you were saying there are no porters. And so we have porters that help carry stuff. And I took took 2 bags up the mountain. Hopefully you will get. Are you there?
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully the signal will stay. So it's probably going to be harder. Don't you think?
It's just a lot. You're dealing with a lot.
But would you do it again?
No.
No. You had to poop like on the side of a tree, right? Or like, how did you? Because I remember you telling me you had to like back up against the tree, squat down, right? And what did y'all eat?
I hid behind trees because if you've ever gone hiking, you know that the trees are spaced out. It's not like some dense jungle, right? And so there's men, half of us were girls, half of us were guys. I think I'm frozen again.
It's not like what? I didn't hear any of that.
I know. I stopped talking because I knew you couldn't hear me. Okay, so we're just talking about your hike, you know. Okay, let's just try to wrap this up. We're gonna go on Instagram and we're gonna finish the story, okay? Okay, so you said you wouldn't do it again, but you learned a lot. It was an amazing experience. I would not trade it for anything in the entire universe. It was one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life.
But you wouldn't do it again.
Nope. You could not pay me to do it again.
And you're sending your mama up the mountain to do it.
This was your decision, your body, your choice.
Okay, with that being said, we're going to stop right there. We're going to jump over on Instagram, okay? Okay, thanks, guys. I really want you to consider becoming a Patreon member. When you become a member, you help me help other women. Right now, I am trying to get an extra car on the road, and we have some other things coming up. We are trying to support some of the guides that went up the mountain with us in Kilimanjaro, Hawa and Rahima. So listen, I really need about 10 people to give like $50 a month for like 6 months, because I think we need like $3,500 to put these ladies through school. So we're going to put them through guide school, mountain guide school, and safari school, so they'll have a certificate. So anyway, the need is great. And I had a lady that inboxed me just the other night, and she was like, she didn't have anywhere to stay. And I'm like, all I can say is I don't get paid till Thursday. I was like, money is low. A lot of times I'm coming out of my own pocket. So if you guys can help me, I will help them. What about it? You help me, help them. There is a need. People are calling me. They are inboxing me. And sometimes I don't have it. So I'm going to talk more about the girl that needs the place. I'll do that separate. But honey, I'm going to be out here begging y'all to come on and join and help me. Help a sister out. Okay, Kara, that's all we got right now. Let's jump over on Instagram. Okay? Peace out. How do I stop this thing? Wait, where's my mouse? In broadcast.